So, what is the Swarna Bharat Party's ideological grounding?
That's the big question, and that is why we are so different from every other existing party in India. We are not just different in terms of the systems that we promote. We are fundamentally different in the way that we believe the role of the state versus the citizen. In the history of the world, if you go back in time, you will notice that there was the king who had taken over the control of the country and the people. And very soon, except in a few republics that were there in India in the past, most of the parts of the world, they did not have republics where there was a respect between the king and the citizen. In most cases, the king had taken over the properties of the state, of the entire country, and had leased them out essentially to the people of the country. This model said that the people are there essentially to serve the king. The liberal model that we advocate started really only after the breakaway of feudalism in medieval Europe. In medieval, before that, there was the divine right of kings. The idea was that the king is so strong and is gifted by God. And similarly, we also have in India, we have all the kings attribute their origin to the sun god or to some other god. So they say that it is the divine right of kings to rule over the people, and that is what God has sent these kings to rule over us. The liberal idea, which started essentially by John Locke. John Locke was in the 1680s when he wrote his books, for example, the essays on tolerance. This idea was radically new. It essentially reversed the situation. It said the people are sovereign. And by the time we know from the Magna Carta and all these other reforms, that the king was being challenged by the people. Initially, the aristocrats were challenging him. Remember, these were the feudal times. The whole world was essentially going through a feudal era. And I believe that India till today has largely got a feudal overlay. And people in India are, they're not only caste, but there is the hierarchy of social status. And social status is linked with the land that you own. So landed property owners in India, the zamindars, they are the kind of feudal lords that were found all over the world as part of the agricultural era of man. When the John Locke's ideas came in, the idea was taken. It took off in the 1688 Golden Revolution, the Glorious Revolution. The Glorious Revolution was essentially the displacement of the king's power with the parliament's power. When that happened, the king essentially became the hand that signs the documents that are approved by the parliament. So the people approve, and the king becomes the signatory who signs and says that is the law. But the king does not create the law from his or her whim. That was a radical shift in the world's perspective. That did not happen in India. Remember, India became independent only in 1947. So while the European countries had the benefit of having parliamentary democracy and the people creating the laws, it only reached India much later. But there was another idea that was very fundamental to the reforms in the West, not just the democracy, but the idea of the freedom to achieve your happiness and to pursue happiness, which is part of the Declaration of Independence of the USA, Thomas Jefferson and others. So this idea of the 1776 or in that period was critical in bringing about the idea that not only the parliament is our big, sovereign, we govern as a people through our representatives, not through the king. But the idea that we are actually the constitution, the country exists only for one purpose, which is to support the people in their own pursuit of happiness, in their right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. These three things are part of the American Declaration of Independence. And what we see here is the foundational ideology of liberalism. John Locke influenced Jefferson. Jefferson and John Locke, essentially in England and in America, revolutionized the entire thinking of the whole world. From that thinking, the common man was given the respect. And so England became a nation of business people, of shopkeepers. Basically, everybody started doing their own business. There was respect for the common man. Business was respected, trade was respected, people were given freedom. There was habeas corpus. there was respect for, there was justice, there was no whimsical imposition of punishments by anybody, including the king. Everybody had the equal right. The rule of law is about equal rights under the constitution. And even though Britain doesn't have a constitution, it has the principle of liberty. Now, this principle did not really come into India till the Ambedkar constitution. Ambedkar's constitution is very unfortunately contaminated. We were very fortunate to have Mr. B.R. Ambedkar. He was a liberal. He was trained in the West. He's a great thinker. However, because of the contamination of number of issues, and I won't go into detail, but the constitution got contaminated from the very beginning, India's constitution. And we had the directive principles, for example. The directive principles actually contradict the fundamental rights. The fundamental rights arise from the liberal concepts. The idea of equal opportunity, protection under the rule under the law, freedom to do what you want, to speak, freedom of expression, right to property. These ideas are all part of our ideology. We are the only party that espouses these ideas as our only fundamental principle. We are here to defend you and your right. And we are not doing it because we are your boss, but we wish to serve you in protecting your rights. This party is here to serve the country in ensuring that everybody remains free so long as he or she is not harming anybody. We want to stop the government bureaucracy, the police, from entering your houses. We want to prevent anybody from interfering in whatever you want to do. That is our job. We will block our system if they try to interfere with you in your life, so long as you're not physically harming somebody else. You see, the physical harm is the critical point. People may say something against you, against your religion. We are fine with that. It is not a physical harm. We will not have censorship and bans. Somebody may have, this gay sex concept has come in. I'm not a great fan of this idea, but I'm not against it, right? It is not my business. This is not my job. If you are, have that gay preference for whatever reason, maybe genetic, maybe whatever other reason, I'm nobody to stop it. It's part of your life. You do in your bedroom whatever you want. So you see the point I'm making here. The ideology is of freedom in every regard. You're free to speak, free to live your life, free to have an occupation, so long as you do not harm anybody else. Your pursuit of happiness is your own business. We will defend, this party will defend your right to your life, your liberty, your property rights. Property rights are a critical part of our ideology. We do not believe that the state can confiscate people's property the way it has done. We know the Air India was effectively taken away by Nehru from J.R.D. Tata's work that he put in. We know so many organizations were nationalized. The banks are a good example. We don't need the state to take away somebody's property. And if it does need to take certain land for whatever reason, we have a great detailed policy on how and when the state can actually take away somebody's land for public good. This entire concept, which is so radically different from the existing ideology of socialism, which says, socialism says that the state controls what you do and why you do it. It will tell you what to say, what to produce, how much to produce, and effectively control you in every way, because somebody at the top, like the socialism is very similar to the king model. The king or the collective, the government becomes the decider. They decide whether you shall have this or have that or not have that. And I think our point is that no, we are not here to even try to do that. So our free prices, free markets, no control on anything unless it is harming somebody else. And of course, minimum taxes. Our role is that we want a small minimum government, maximum governance. For other parties like BJP, it is an empty slogan. For our party, that is our core ideology. We want small government but strong government. We want a government that is totally accountable. And we want separation of state and religion. It is very important to remember this point. There is a lot of contamination going on as we speak. As we speak, somebody is saying, "Thou shalt not eat beef." I'm sorry, I eat beef. You are nobody. It is my right to eat beef. There are so many Indians who eat beef. The Dalits have survived on eating beef. And I don't care about caste, but I'm saying in the Northeast, in South India, in people who are educated, and people who have left religion. I have no religion. They are still Indian. They have a birthright. Their birthright to be free. Nobody can stop them from eating beef. But in India, the governments are interfering in this all the time. That is a contamination of a religious belief. I am fully in favor of animal rights. Our party believes that animals should be protected and in a human and slaughtered in a humane manner. This is very controversial. I know that some people will take offense. But we are here to ensure your freedom. You may change your belief in a lifetime. You may be starting as a vegetarian, you may become a non-vegetarian, you may eat beef, and after some time you may say, I will eat nothing. I will eat vegetable food, become a vegan. This is your personal choice. Everybody should be free, so long as they are not physically harming anybody else. So I think this message of freedom, of liberty, of not having government interfere in your life is a unique message that even Mr. Ambedkar, with all his efforts, and I have the greatest regard for him, was not able to communicate to the whole country. Our party wants to communicate this message and free all of you. You can do what you want, so long as you don't harm others. That is our core ideology.